Good afternoon, everyone. Brian here with VIPKID. I've been with VIPKID now for exactly 240 days, and today I wanted to talk about my high parent feedback percentage and what things I feel like I've done to get parents to leave feedback without actually asking them. I'd first like to say that I've never asked parents to leave feedback ever. I've never hinted at it, I've never said it directly, and yet I still have about a 42% parent feedback rating. So I decided to look through some of my feedback the last couple of days and try to pinpoint what it is that parents are saying, or what are they saying in terms of my performance in the classroom, and also student feedback, like personalized feedback, detailed feedback, things that I'm saying in my feedback. So I'm going to list the top 5 things that parents have said and kind of break it down and talk about why I teach or leave feedback the way I do, and what it is that I'm doing in the classroom, and what it is that I am leaving in terms of student feedback. I hope this video is helpful for you guys, and I will also leave some pointers and tips as well. So the 5 things that I'm going to talk about today, the top 5 things that I've noticed parents have been saying when they leave feedback, is number 1, having high energy, high enthusiasm, being engaging. Number 2, having extended and off-topic discussions, whether it's related to the curriculum or not. Number 3, personalized and detailed feedback, what I'm saying in feedback in terms of students' performance, students' overall performance. Number 4, my voice. Sometimes I talk like this, and sometimes I talk like this. Sometimes I change them, sometimes I don't. Number 5, just miscellaneous things. My reward system, my interest in Legos, students' interest in Legos, and also my Pikachu. So the biggest comments that I get from parent feedback is having high energy, enthusiasm, being engaging, interesting, funny. I'm not going to go too much into detail as to why I do this and what I do. But I will just briefly explain. Obviously, why wouldn't you want to have high energy, be enthusiastic? You want to engage the student. You don't want to be monotone. You don't want to be boring, dull. And I don't go over the top. And in terms of being funny, something that I feel like has really helped me and what I really enjoy doing is playing the role of the student. I absolutely love when students play the role of the teacher, and a lot of times I'll answer incorrectly on purpose and see if the student can catch my mistakes. And I do this for a few reasons. One, it shows the parents that the students understand the material, and 2, not only does it show that the students understand the material, but it also shows that they can see what's wrong. An example of this is level 3 unit 1. A lot of teachers complain that it's kind of boring, like days of the week, months of the year. I love being the role of the student here. I love having the students ask me what day comes before Monday, what month comes after February, and I always answer incorrectly on purpose. And students seem to really enjoy that. I love being the role of the student and giving students the power to play the role as a teacher. I do this with a lot of the units that have dry material. When I say dry material, like stuff where there's not a lot of content. An example of this would be level 2 unit 8 colors. I feel like a lot of the sentence patterns are quite simple, and more often than not when students are by the time students get to that unit, they already know the colors. Some students might not be able to recognize the colors in terms of written literacy, but more often than not students are able to recognize the colors. So what's causing me to have high energy? I think it's a combination of 2 things. I think 1 is good sleep, and 2, good food. I think the food is the most important thing. I'm no longer in America now, but before, for most of my time with VIPKID, I was on the West Coast. And for anyone who's on the West Coast, we have it the worst, I think, in terms of peak times, peak times, the hours are just brutal. And there were absolutely days where I just didn't have it in terms of sleep, good adequate sleep. There were days I'd only have 4 or 5 hours of sleep, feel a bit lethargic, but I think good food, good nutrition, I think really pushed me through. If I didn't get good sleep, I think it was the nutrition that really did it. And every morning when I wake up, I always have a cup of coffee. I stay away from sugar. I always have a bowl of oatmeal with peanut butter, 2 bananas, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. That's my go-to. I feel like it kind of kickstarts me, gets me through the day. So I think what causes the high energy more often than not is good nutrition, first of all, and good sleep, if I can get it. The second most parent feedback comments that I've gotten have been having extended conversations, especially during unit assessments. And I think this is really big. I think this is really critical. I think every teacher should at least practice having extended conversations, even off-topic discussions with students. Why do I do this? Honestly, I believe that parents are looking for more than just seeing whether or not the students can master the curriculum itself. Having taught overseas, uh, or anyone who's taught overseas realizes that English as a foreign language in these Asian countries are very test driven. Um, they're more of a measure of academic content rather than just normal, standard, everyday communicating. For those who are actual teachers, the concept of BICS and CALP, right? I feel like a lot of the standard here, or the way English is taught here, is very CALP oriented, very academically driven. It's why students can master tests so easily, but they cannot introduce themselves outside of their name, age, and maybe like something that they like to do. Um, so yeah, absolutely extended discussions, off-topic discussions. You gotta practice this. So what is it that I'm exactly doing to have time for extended conversations? There are classes where I will spend up to 3 minutes, even on occasion 4 minutes, discussing with their students like, oh, how was school? Sometimes I'll ask students whether or not they went to school, even if I know if I have class with them on a weekend. Like I'll still ask, did you go to school? No. Oh, why not? Oh, because today it's Sunday, or because today is summer holiday. Okay, what did you do today? Did you do anything fun? What did you eat? Who did you play with? Oh, you went on a trip. Who did you go on a trip with? What did you do? What did you see? Did you buy anything? These are discussions that I usually have with students, both whether they're my regulars or first-time students. I don't focus too much on grammar, especially like the really wordy ones. There's a lot of like grammar slides that have a lot of explanation. I don't focus too much on spelling either. I feel like things that students can practice on their own time are the things that I try to avoid, or I don't put too much time, focus, and energy into. And I feel like this frees up a lot of time to have extended discussions, conversations. I think especially during unit assessments, like if you just go from start to finish with a student and don't engage them outside of the curriculum, you're going to finish within 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're going to have an excess 5 to 10 minutes. And I know there's a lot of teachers that read stories, play games, but I feel like if parents are paying a minute per class, give or take, paying a minute per class, like of course, if I'm a student, I'm gonna love playing games, when I finish a test. But as much as we have to please the students, we also have to please the parents. And obviously students are going to like playing games, but you also have to think like, what do parents think? How do they perceive the class if their student is spending 20, 25, even a third of the class playing games? I think you got to practice having extended conversation. I think for a lot of lower level students, like the level 2, unit 5, unit 6, unit 7, I think to practice, or if you want to get some practice, I feel like sight words are really big on these. An example of this would be level 2, unit 6, red, blue, where, come, jump. You can do something simple as, can you jump? Yes, I can jump, and you jump up and down. This is red. What do you have that's red? My la 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 is red. Okay, what is something that you don't have that is red? This is not red. And then, student can find something, oh, this is not red. Where is your pen? This is my pen. Where is your pen? So I think, sight words, definitely sight words, especially on unit assessments. Definite opportunities to have extended conversations with these. Level 2, unit 5, my, me, big, one of. I have one clock. What do you have one of? And then the student can usually say, I have one la la la. This is my. What do you have? This is my. So usually if you mimic and provide an example, and I also type it in the chat box, students can follow more often than not. And usually, I think parents appreciate this even on the lower levels, to see that, okay, not only can the students say the sight words, maybe even spell it, understand the meaning, but they show their understanding by providing examples and speaking in full sentences. So I think if you're having trouble with having extended conversations, especially with the lower levels, because I feel like a lot of the content on the unit assessments are pretty straightforward, pretty easy, especially for the lower level students, I think sight words are definitely the way to go to practice having extended conversations. Also, with extended conversations and extended discussions, you never know where it's going to lead. Like you can say one thing and it'll just lead to another topic. I would say at least 95% of my extended discussions with students are completely unplanned, just on the spot. Instant reaction depending on what the students, how the students respond to my questions or discussions and conversations. The third most parent feedback comments that I get are how detailed my feedback is. To this day, I still don't do any cookie cutter feedback methods. I've stated in my 2 other videos, my day 95 one and day 165, I still think personalized feedback is the way to go even to this day. I still personalize feedback even for students that I've seen 40 to 50 times. Why is it that I do this? As many of you know, education is very serious in China. I already stated that parents are paying about $1 per class, give or take. And I think from a marketing perspective, we're one of 20,000 teachers, right? But VIPKID only accepts 10% of teachers that apply. And that's even stated on their website as well. Think of the message that's sending to the parents or to the students who are taking these classes. They're expecting high quality. Like the standard is high. The bar is set very high for us. So if I was a parent sending my kid to take these classes, which are not cheap by the way, I would want detailed feedback as well. I would want high quality classes in the classroom, and just as much as having high quality classes in the classroom, I would want to know how my student is doing based on their performance and stating that through feedback. I personally enjoy typing feedback. So right now my schedule is I do 4 days of about 19 to 20 classes. And during this 5-minute breaks, for me it's maybe like 3 to 4 minutes. I usually finish about 26, 27-minute mark. I finish probably about 75 to 80% of my feedback. And then probably after my last class, I do about, I don't know, 20 to 25 minutes worth of feedback outside of class. And, from my perspective, that just means that I spend 20 to 25 plus minutes BSing on Facebook. That's all it is. I'll list some examples in this video of things that I'm putting in my student feedback. So the number one thing that I put or praise is when students say the S sound at the end of plural nouns, such as these are desks, or verbs that follow he, she, or it. She smells the flower. I reinforce this a lot in my classroom when I hear students, especially the lower level students, make the S sound and say the sentence correctly. I always check the little S sound and say, good job. You made sure to say the S sound at the end. I've done this with a lot of my regular students, some who always make the S sound. I always do this. I always reinforce this, and I put this in the feedback. This is probably the number one thing that I put in my feedback. And I've had a few parents comment that they appreciate this. Another thing that I put in my feedback is when students use expressions that are not commonly found in English language learning textbooks or just foreign language learning textbooks in general. For anyone who's taught overseas and seen like some of the textbooks that we deal with, a lot of them are very stiff. They're very formal in the way conversations and dialogues are. So I really praise students that are able to not only use expressions but use them in the right context or situations. I had a student about 2 weeks ago who used hang on, and a lot of students might say wait or wait a minute, but she was able to use hang on several times, and I really praised this in my feedback. I thought it was very cool that she was able to use this in the right situation, because more often than not, you're not going to find this in traditional English language learning textbooks overseas. Another one is when students use expressions that just completely blow my mind. I have a lower level student, like level 2 unit 4, level 2 unit 5. He scribbles on the screen all the time, like doesn't really pay attention. I put it in the feedback, he needs to stop scribbling. They only book with me, always scribbles, doesn't really pay attention. But then one class out of the blue, he was like, Teacher Brian, don't play with knives. Teacher Brian, don't stand on the desk. Teacher Brian, don't play with fire. And I was like, where the hell did that come from? Put that in the feedback. Another thing that I'm putting in student feedback is how well students have extended and off-topic discussions. Even the lower level students, if they're able to not only demonstrate their understanding of the lesson, but also answer extended or off-topic questions, I think parents really appreciate when you put this in the feedback. And why is it that I put this in here? Although I believe parents can watch the replay of the class at any time that they want, I'm going to make the argument that I personally believe that not 100% of parents can fully understand the dialogue that students are having with me. Another thing that I put in student feedback is, especially on unit assessments or students who are just beginning a new unit, I kind of give tips and pointers to what they should look out for and what they should practice to be as prepared as they can for the next class or the upcoming classes. A few examples of these would be level 2 unit 5, the math symbols. I tell parents in my feedback that such and such students should focus on the math symbols, plus, minus, equals, not equals. I also suggest that students practice spelling the numbers from 1 to 10, because for those who have done these units, you notice that a lot of students struggle, and I think they struggle, one, because of the symbols when they're exposed to them. For them, it's difficult to remember the symbol, like when they're introduced with the math equations over and over again. And I think another reason is because a lot of the numbers that are presented are not in their standard form; they're in their word form. So students have to not only remember the math symbols, but they have to decode like what, the spelling of the numbers from 1 to 10. So I put this in my feedback. Any tips and pointers that would help students throughout the unit. Another one is level 3, unit 7, the birthday unit. I tell parents, a lot of students can really struggle with the sounds, the double O sound or the OU or the OW, because they make several different sounds. I put in the feedback, I highly recommend that such and such student focuses on this outside of class. So I also put this at the end of some of my assessment student feedback. So in the description, I'll also put example sentences that you're welcome to use. You can copy and paste if you have these assessment classes to kind of give give students and parents tips and pointers as to what they should expect in the upcoming unit. And you're also welcome to add your own flavor to it, saying like, if you like my class, please leave 5 apples. I strive to be a 5-apple teacher.
So the fourth thing that I get a lot of remarks from parents is my voice. Sometimes I talk like this.
Sometimes I talk like this.
And why is it that I do this? I do this to make students feel relaxed, feel comfortable.
And I also do this to engage students. Originally, I would only change my voice during male and female dialogues. So if I was having a dialogue with a student and there was Meg and Mike, if the student was Mike,
then if I'm Meg, I talk like this. So I have quite a few parents that leave feedback regarding my voice. They say it's very interesting or strange.
And I even have one that left me a 4-apple rating that says I sound like a child. And I absolutely love it. It keeps me motivated, it keeps me driven, because, well,
they're not wrong, they're right.
So with a lot of new students that I see, I always start with,
hello, 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 how are you?
And then usually they'll say, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, how about you?
I'm fine too, thank you.
Then I type in the chat box, my name is Brian.
What is your name?
And then I try to guess their age. I love guessing students' age. I never ask them, how old are you? I always try to guess. I think you are 8 years old. I think you are 9 years old.
Are you 8? Are you 9?
And then I always show them, I like Legos.
What do you like?
So even during introductions, I do this with my regulars too. Sometimes I'll just talk like this. They're already used to it. Students seem to enjoy it more often than not. And the fifth and final thing that I get not a lot, but I get occasional comments are what I'm going to put as etc. Interest in Legos, Pikachu, and my reward system. I'm a huge Lego fan, and I think a lot of my regulars are as well. I absolutely love seeing students' Lego collections, male and female. And again, I put this in my feedback. I always put like I'm happy to meet another Lego fan. I've gotten a few comments about my Pikachu as well. I have 6 Pikachu dolls and also a Pikachu hat that I use, also a Pikachu shirt here. Find a lot of students enjoy Pikachu as well. A lot of them have Pikachu dolls. I feel like it's a universal character. I feel like people all around the world know, to some extent, Pikachu. To this day, I've used the same reward system since day one. I feel like it's a lot more interactive than some of the reward systems that VIPKID provides, especially when you first start out with VIPKID. And yeah, I always draw segmented pictures, and I tell the students, if you do good, I will give you 4 stars, and I will draw a picture. And if you know the picture, I will give star number 5. And to this day, I've had a few slip-ups where I've drawn the same picture twice. I'm usually very organized, and I put it in an Excel spreadsheet. And I'll put it in the description below for anyone who's interested in having a simple reward system. I'll put a list of the pictures that I've drawn to date. And yeah, it's worked out really well. And I have a handful of regulars who, instead of me drawing and they guess, they draw the picture and I guess. And it works out really well. They have a lot of fun. I enjoy it as well. I enjoy drawing, even though I'm not really good at drawing. I feel like over the last 8 months I've improved, but still room for improvement. So to recap, the top 5 comments from parents that I've received. Number 1, high energy, high enthusiasm, being engaging. How do I do this? Eat good food, pushes me through the day even when I have a lot of classes. Play the role of the student, have the student play the role of the teacher, answer wrong and correctly, see if students can catch my mistakes. I feel like these are the things that I do to get a lot of feedback saying that, interesting, funny, enthusiastic, etc., etc. Number two, extended and off-topic discussions. I feel like this is an absolute must for all teachers, whether you're new or experienced. Gotta practice having extended conversations. I'm not perfect at it, but I feel like I'm pretty darn good at it. Um, I think really, like, I think parents want to see not only their students engage with with a foreign teacher in regards to the curriculum, but also outside. Like, can you push the student like slightly outside of their ability and have them still respond and engage in a natural conversation and help them as well. Number three, personalized and detailed feedback. I've been harping on this from day one. I feel like this is the way to go. Uh, Christy's post on Fresh Desk a while ago when I first started, she reiterated this as well. Personalized feedback, especially when you're starting, is the way to go. I still believe this to this day. Number four,
My voice?
never gonna change it.
I'm gonna continue talking like this.
I'm not gonna focus on the one person who gave me the 4 apple rating. Like, there's no reason to dwell on one bad apple when you have 10, 20, 30 others who find it humorous or enjoyable. And five, the miscellaneous extra comments, things that make me who I am, my interests, Legos, Pikachu, my reward system. So those of you who have made it to the end, I hope you found this helpful. Uh, as I said, I'll put some of my example comments and tips and pointers in the description below. You're welcome to use them and also add your own flavor for requesting apples. I know now, the policy now is you need to have at least 25% of your total classes, you need to have feedback from parents. So I hope you find this helpful, and best of luck. Happy teaching. Have a good afternoon, everyone.